Hi, friends. I'm Katie.
And I'm Lauren, and welcome to Okay, But Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today, we're recapping and chatting about Bob's Burgers Season 4, Episode 7, Bob and Deliver, and Episode 8, Christmas in the Car. But we always start off with a synopsis, so here's your synopsis for Bob and Deliver. Mr. Frond asks Bob to sub the home ec class at the kids' school. Tina hopes to finally be the teacher's pet in his class. Teddy has been invited to his cousin's wedding and is nervous because he doesn't know how to dance, so Linda offers to teach him. Bob realizes quickly he doesn't know how to handle the kids in his class. He attempts different teaching methods and discovers Zeke is a natural cook. They open a student run restaurant out of the class, and the lunch lady and Kafko aren't too happy about it. Bob is fired from substituting when Kafko steps in to shut down the restaurant. Bob returns to the school to retrieve his plates, and the kids inspire him to let them take the restaurant to the kids in the cafeteria. They pick Tina up on the way after she has switched classes from feeling forgotten in her dad's class. Linda does her best to teach Teddy to dance and sends him on his way. The home restaurant is a success, and Bob mends his relationship with Tina. So we always start off with our puns. What did you get for the vacant storefront?
Yada yada dada Jewish surrealist art gallery.
The Wiki is saying that this is popularly attributed to Yiddish.
I would believe that.
Yada yada yada.
I guess that's. I didn't think that was a Jewishism, but I guess it can be. It's used in a lot of comedies, so I guess that makes sense.
And what is your pest control truck?
Anti-MAME pest control.
That's supposed to be on the play on like the title. It's a novel, it's a play, it's a movie on Auntie Mamie.
Oh, okay.
And there's a dead ant. And we have a very happy Lauren because there are burgers of the day.
There are multiple burgers of the day. I got 3.
This makes up for there being none in the next one.
Yeah. There was a half
of, again,
3. Wasn't there like a half of one?
I think so, but you can't see it. Like there is no record of it. So what did you get?
I got the I'm okay, you're okay burger. I don't really know how you would say that. It's okra.
It's okra. It's supposed to be like a self-help type thing.
I suppose. The Bohemian Radishy burger.
I like that one.
Me too. And then Edward James Olive Most burger.
I like this one because the title of this episode is a reference to the movie Stand and Deliver.
Yeah.
And in that movie, Edward James Olmos is like the star of the film.
Gotcha.
So it's actually kind of cool that they do that. That's the movie that's about a teacher who inspires a group of students that had been written off by the school. So, which there's so many movies that do that now.
Yeah.
So they decided to do the reference to the actor since it like mixed all in. You know how they like to do their movie stuff and their references kind of all together, especially when they did the one with all the horror movies with the Deep, which still one of my favorites. So speaking of movies, like I said, they've done that a lot in movies. There's also a reference to Dead Poet Society in this movie, and if you haven't seen that, go watch it. One of his best movies, in my opinion.
Yeah.
When Linda's teaching Teddy how to dance, that one is to a reference to Dirty Dancing.
Makes sense.
So lots of just movie references in this one. That's all really like fun facts wise I've got. It's just all movie references. And when I said his movie, I meant Robert Williams.
Yes.
Robin
Williams,
actually said the name. Robin Williams. My brain is not braining. We've had a night.
We have had a night.
I did write down all of the names that the kids were trying to give their dad as a substitute teacher, though.
Okay.
So I want to know which one's your favorite out of Mr. Belt Stretcher, Mr. Bowel Chair, Dr. Fart, and Alfonso Poo Poo Fatty III.
I mean, I think Mr. Belt Stretcher, I think that's the most clever. Like, it's a play on the name as well as an awful nickname to give to a substitute. So I think I'd go with that one.
There's just something about Alfonso Poo Poo Daddy, Poo Poo Fat. I can't even say it again.
It's a lot of words.
It's a lot of words, and I would like to know how Louise came up with that. So what'd you think?
This episode made me feel things as a former substitute teacher.
I was thinking that as I was watching it. I'm like, this used to be Lauren's job.
Yeah, and like I used to joke as a sub that really my job, truthfully, was just mispronouncing kids' names every day. That really was what I did most of the day.
Oh my god, that makes me think of the skit.
Oh, the substitute teacher from Key and Peele. Aaron, D Nice. I wasn't that. There was one day there one kid's name was Brandon. I don't know what it was that I said, and he went, "You mean Brandon?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, it's been a day. Yes, you're here, great." But it was just like I really. There have been some days where like I was that's all I did, and like I was very happy to see the very accurate TV cart with the tube TV on it,
Yes. That
because
brought
like
back
I
some
feel
memories.
it did, 'cause I feel like this was like 2013, 2014, or something like that
Yeah.
when this came out, so, like, I feel like by then some schools really had gone away from having they had upgraded their TVs if they could afford it, so, like, I was happy to see that, but it brought back lots of memories of I was basically there I not the base I did actually teach, because I was one of the subs that had a teaching certificate, so, like, I could teach, and if it was an English class, I felt comfortable to actually teach because that was my subject matter, but
Wasn't just worksheets or a movie.
no, unless I was teaching math. In that case, it was like that. Usually, they left like a worksheet, and the kids did it. And if they asked me questions, I'm like, "Do your best.
I'm an
Give it a
English major.
shot. I cannot help you with trigonometry. I'm so sorry." The best day, I think I taught a science class one time, and they had to do a lab, and I had to facilitate the lab. I'm like, "This doesn't seem safe, but okay." And then when the kids were done, like they were there for 2 periods, because that's the way the labs for our science classes worked, and they were done by the end of the first period, so like the whole period, like, what do we do? I was like, do you guys have homework you want to do? They're like, yeah. One kid's like, I have my switch, can we hook it up in the back? I'm like, can you be quiet? They went, sure. I'm like, great, just don't disturb other classrooms.
Which means those kids liked you.
I had some mixed experiences, because I would say
Okay.
the kids that were like when in the episode when they were chanting that they wanted to like watch a movie and he was breaking down really quickly, I'm like, oh, this is not even the worst of what I saw, because I had one day it was a class of students. It was just I wasn't even there I wasn't that teacher's sub the entire day. I was just like hopping around for whatever reason that day, and the kids had found out that there was a sub, that the teacher was out for the day and there were subs, but they didn't coordinate. This was the kids' problem. Is the kids, a bunch of them brought their friends in, and truthfully, at that point in the day, it was towards the end of the day, and a lot of times, especially with the older kids, I usually will just count the students, and if it equates the same as I have on my list, I didn't actually call names. There's like I have supposed to have 25 kids. I had 25 kids. That was my attendance for the day. It was last period at that point. But I had two more students, and honestly, if there were less, then I would have called roll and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
I had two more kids than I was supposed to, because too many kids
Oh.
brought their friends, and no one would admit to it, and I'm like, I didn't know what to do. And luckily at the time, one of the teachers that ran one of the computer labs on the floor, who knew me, because I'd worked with her like as a student, and then I came back and she was so happy to see me, so like I saw her every day. She was looking for a student, and she's like, and she could see I was getting flustered. She's like, are you okay? I'm like, I have too many students, but they won't tell me who's not supposed to be here, and I can't figure it out because I don't know them. And she went, okay, here's what we do. She's like, everyone stand up. She's like, she's gonna like Miss T is gonna call all of the names. When you hear your name, you sit down. If you're still standing when she's done, you need to go wherever you're supposed to be.
And they don't want
And
to
they
do
were
mess up with an actual teacher. Like,
no, they were no,
that's
and
fair.
they respected her, because like she's one of the computer lab people. They especially don't want to mess with her, because they like to go to the computer lab when they don't want to be places. They don't want to mess with
Don't
her.
don't you miss computer lab? We've
Oh,
had
those were
this
the
discussion.
days.
Because
But
kids don't
yes, that was
have that anymore.
no, but that was probably my worst days of sub. Is like I was like, and then but it got worse. It got worse because a kid that was supposed to be there then threw a textbook at the wall. I don't know.
Okay.
I sent him
I
to. I literally I was like, do you want to go to the library? I was like, leave. Literally go anywhere else.
like just don't do that here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wrote them down that I don't think I could teach kids that aren't my own.
Hmm.
It's already bad enough trying to teach my own child. There are some
Yeah.
days there are tears. There are tears in homeschool.
Hmm.
Because if your kid doesn't get it and you've explained it in every single way that you can, and still it's not going, you're just like, we're going to find other resources, but we're just going to take a step back now,
Yeah.
take a break.
Hmm.
So, but Bob getting that first interaction, I was like, this has got to be pretty accurate for what teachers go through. But then watching him figure out how to teach the class or what he needed to do to really get it to work was really great.
Hmm.
I personally really love the Dead Poet Society references because I like that movie.
Yeah.
I
Me too.
think it's great.
Hmm.
Um, one of the lines in this episode is like one of those that's been turned into a meme across the internet, and that's "Hey, I don't appreciate your lack of sarcasm." You can
Hmm.
find that on T-shirts, on Mac, like it's everywhere. So I did
Yeah.
love, like, that you got to experience that because that's very Louise.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And watching how well the kids do at running the restaurant at the school.
Mhm. They did a great job.
They're
When I was
great.
a student when I was a student teacher, the school that I worked in, they had a class of I believe it was part of the special ed program that I think once a month they ran like a restaurant for the teachers, and it very much reminded me of that.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah, it was nice, like because they got to, they cooked, they handled taking orders, they did, like the exchange, like the money exchange. It was a really really great program for them, and also we got to do something that wasn't bring food for ourselves. So
Which is always fun. You don't know
yeah,
it can get boring trying to pack your own food all the time.
yeah,
My only other thing was how did all these kids know to have popcorn on them? Were they just
yeah, right.
carrying bags of popcorn until the time hit?
I guess why not?
But what else did you think? Like,
I like this one. I did pull out, the other, because it was obviously a lot of references to movies about teachers, because there was
yes.
she made the Mr. Holland's Opus reference with the Mr. Holland's old penis, and I'm like, I love Mr. Holland's Opus. I
It's
love
such a
that
good
movie.
movie.
That's such a good movie, especially about like what it means to be an educator and what it means, like, he was gonna teach just so he could, work on his
Mhm.
music, and then he ended up seeing the difference he could make, and he stayed. Like, that's like, it's such a beautiful story for educators. We don't appreciate our educators as much
Not
as
at
we
all.
should.
No.
And like I say that as a former teacher and a current someone who doesn't work in education anymore. I left for a reason.
I say that as a homeschool parent that I our teachers are not appreciated enough.
No. But Bob should have had a sub plan, just saying. Like, like, even if the plan was just put in this movie, there should have been something written down. He shouldn't have been
Mhm.
left to his own devices. There should have been, like, there's most schools, like, this is me putting real world logic onto a cartoon. Schools have very strict protocols about, like, at least they should, about what to be done, like, with subs, and like to where you leave your sub plans and all of that. So I was like, this is not what should be happening. But I do appreciate Bob's attempt to teach the kids without them realizing through the popcorn. I thought that was very cute. It was a good way to kind of get them interested. And then
Bob's a good
I did
guy.
like his methods.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. I liked his methods. But to be fair, I would not trust food. I would not trust any food made by a bunch of middle schoolers. Also, Bob, you definitely don't want to employ your other children in the home restaurant.
Yeah. I mean, they did really well, but at the same time, it's like watching everything that happened with Tina too kind of sucked
Hmm.
because he's like seeing these great things. I think he kind of wishes the kids would do more of in other
Hmm.
children, and that definitely didn't end well. It ended semi well,
Yeah.
uh, but Metalworks that was a class.
That was a class, and like we really like I get the real world skills that we teach kids, but having taken 2 years of tech classes where
Hmm.
and I did injure myself once. I didn't lop I still have all 10 phalanges, but I nicked my thumb with a scroll saw.
Ah,
So like being like and like I was fine. Like truthfully, like honestly, if I didn't even notice, it didn't hurt until I looked. I'm like, oh, I'm bleeding. Okay.
all my stuff was
So
tech.
yeah, so like I really maybe we don't put 13-year-olds in a room with power tools.
All I did was like I did have home ec in middle school, which
Mm,
I think they phased out right after I left middle school, which is really sad. The most
yeah.
we did was like sew our own pillow.
We made shorts.
Oh,
Yeah. I still honestly, they until like the last 2 years, I still wore them. They still fit. They were pretty big.
that's awesome. And then I think I did keyboarding and like chorus and stuff. And then in high
Yeah.
school I did like tech, like I did like
Mhm.
website design and stuff like that.
I
But
like
that's
that.
like the original HTML type design and
Yeah.
stuff. That was a lot to learn, but I didn't really do the hands-on stuff. But we had automotive, like our automotive class, the teachers would
Mhm.
bring their cars in and just have the automotive classes work on them for free for
There you go.
practice, which I thought was
Yeah.
awesome. I hope schools are still doing enough of vocational. I
Yeah.
know a lot of areas have like started to weed it out because they're like, "Oh, it's not as
Mhm.
important. Everybody needs to go to college." And I'm like, "No, some people are meant to be
Yeah.
in other in trades because trades are
Yeah.
great."
Trades are great. I think in middle school, yeah, I was always in chorus the whole time. I was in orchestra
Mhm.
up until the 8th grade, but then when the way the chorus shifted, I couldn't be in both. It wouldn't have made sense to my schedule anymore, so I dropped the violin, and I was okay with that. I wasn't that good.
Oh, I loved
which was
violin. That was
which was
great.
fine. I was in chamber chorus, and I have plenty of stories about that for days that are relevant to me yelling about middle school drama. Um, and yeah, we had tech in seventh and eighth grade. Eighth grade, we didn't use the power tools as much. Eighth grade was more of like working with other things. So it was more of like strength of the build. So we had to like build
Mhm.
like bridges that would like hold things. We built rockets like that we attach like those like tiny like sulfur pack things to, and they'd go flying. Stuff like that. So it was more about like the design of the build. So like we weren't really using like intense tools with that. We had home ec, which I don't remember what we called it back then. I don't know. We sewed, we made shorts, we made like popsicles out of yogurt and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And high school. I mean, we've established I went to a very large high school, so electives you really did have your pick of the litter when it came to electives. So I'm trying to think. I took acting a couple of times. I did take keyboarding for half of the year. I had to switch that out because I had to switch around my math classes that year. I did take keyboarding. What else did I take? I took video production, so I took intro and advanced video production over the course
Wow.
of a couple of years. So that's like the teacher from the computer lab. She knew me because I was in there a lot for those classes.
Yeah, we did not have
Um,
this much stuff. We had like a simple web design and like simple computer classes. We
yeah,
had, like I said, automotive.
I took the web
Uh,
design class also.
I think there was a metalworking class, and that was about it.
Mm. Yeah, I was like I say, I went to a big school that at the time was very well funded. I do not know what it's like now. I also
In the
took foods and nutrition. I took that in high school also, and subbed in on those classes as a teacher because there was one time I was the only sub available that day that could be in the home our foods class that day because the teacher who was out had a student teacher, and legally she couldn't be in that classroom without a certified teacher, and I was
oh
the only sub with a teaching certificate that was available that day.
oh wow,
So like, it was like me and like this woman in her 30s, and I'm like, "Hi, I am the one here to supervise you because I have passed the state certifications apparently."
that's a mm.
I didn't have to do it, but I didn't have to do anything that day because she was already teaching. She was off ready to go. I was literally just there because legally she couldn't be there without a certified teacher.
So you just got to hang out and get paid.
It was the best day.
I
I
bet.
read I read a lot that day
I bet.
and got to eat cookies. I think that's what they made that day.
So what did you rate this?
So this one did okay. I gave it a 7 for plot, an 8 for character, and an 8 for personal. So this one gets a 23.
Not
Which
bad.
is like it's a solid score. It was enjoyable. I think it was giving me too many like substitute flashbacks. So there's that. But
Yeah.
other than that, it also might have been a little too much Teddy. Like it was the B plot of Teddy dancing wasn't as annoying as I thought it was going to be.
It's a miracle.
But it's not because of Teddy, it's just because it wasn't as involved. I thought it
And
was
you
gonna
had
be
a
more
lot
than
of
it
Linda
was.
with it.
Yeah, so it wasn't too bad. So yeah, 23 solid score.
That's not bad. I gave a character 8,
Mm-hmm.
because there's Frond.
Yeah,
Personal 9, but plot 10. I don't know what it is
nice.
about this plot of this one. I love it. I love
Mm-hmm.
all of it. It is one of my favorite storylines that they've done. I maybe just really do love Dead Poet Society that much. And
Maybe.
it makes me happy. And now for our Christmas episode we decided to watch in March.
Yeah.
Season season 4 episode 8, Christmas in the Car. It's the day before Christmas, and the Belcher family doesn't have a tree. Linda makes the family drive an hour away to get a new tree. The kids have set up a trap to try and catch Santa. The family angers the driver of a huge candy cane truck as they start to head home, and Bob is the only one who initially realizes. Bob asks Teddy to check on his Christmas Eve ham while the family is away, and Teddy gets himself trapped in the kids' Santa Claus trap. They run into the candy cane truck multiple times as they travel towards home, eventually ending up hiding in the woods. The truck is driven by Gary, a sad man that is upset he has to work on Christmas. Bob lets him get a hit in to make him feel better, and the family makes it home to find Teddy stuck in their fridge without a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Still no tree.
Still no tree.
And I'm so happy because this is, we get our nice Christmas puns.
Mm-hmm.
Vacant storefront.
Nog nog, who's there? Eggnog.
Knock knock, who's there?
Eggnog.
But there's a string of Christmas lights.
There
and it's
are.
snowing.
Mm-hmm.
And the pest control truck.
Be sugar and spice and lots of dead mice. Pest control.
I like this one. I don't know why. And there are
It's
no.
like
Sorry.
it gives me like the vibes of like Jack be nimble, Jack be dead. Like it's clever but also not clever.
That's fair. There are no burgers of the day because they don't spend a lot of time in the
No.
actual restaurant. So,
No, they do not.
but you did get 3 in the last
I
episode,
I did.
so balance.
Mhm.
Fun facts. So, Bobcat Goldthwait,
Mhm.
I don't know how to say this name.
I don't know how to say his name, but I heard his voice. I'm like, "This is the guy from Hercules, isn't it?" He
Goldthwait.
played Pain in
Yes.
Hercules.
The voice of Gary is Pain in Hercules. I apologize for butchering his name.
I have no idea how
Um,
to say it, but I knew that voice immediately. I'm like, "I've heard this before."
but Gary's appearance is actually modeled after the singer Art Garfunkel.
Okay.
And another fun thing that I actually did really enjoy is the music in the end credits of God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemanakins
Mhm.
plays on the David Dazzle's radio show when the family is driving to get to the tree.
Makes sense.
So they're definitely keeping a lot of the Christmas stuff together. And there's another thing with continuity in this one.
Okay.
When stuck in the woods, Louise asks Linda where babies come from. But by this point, Louise has witnessed Sidecar's birth of her child in
Mhm.
Earsy Rider. Um, and then she also watched and then taped over footage of Jean's birth and broadcast Wagstaff School News and reenacted her own birth in the Mother Daughter Laser Razor.
Yeah.
So her going, "Where do babies come from?" is just Louise definitely being extremely sarcastic, which is I
Absolutely.
love. And but that's it's the day after Halloween, Lynn, is just my favorite moment. That
Mhm.
is one of those pictures that also has been definitely like a meme.
Yeah,
Every
I've
day,
seen
the
it.
day after Halloween, everybody post it. And it just makes me so happy. So
Mhm.
happy because it's
Yeah.
Halloween decorations and tree,
Yep.
which we just last week talked about holidays and
Yes.
how that works out a lot of the times. It's like everything's out so soon. Well, this is
Mhm.
accurate. I mean, she got a Christmas tree, a live tree the day after Halloween.
It's no surprise that it was dead.
So, how did you enjoy your second Christmas episode?
I didn't like this one as much as the first one. I think it's because this one, so much of it I was like, just like, what is the deal with this truck driver? Was like most
Mhm.
of the episode because it was just because like when we anyone that's driven on the highway has driven by trucks or anyone that's just like it seems like they're intentionally like speeding up when you try to pass them or something like that. Like it's like you're unsure. It feels like that. So it's like, but like it's the guy who actually was. He was truthfully just being a jackass. And like I get the being sad about or being mad about working on Christmas, but at the end of the day, it's more effort on the person being the asshole to be an
Mhm.
asshole than it is to just let the car go.
Yeah, it really is.
So like the drag racing candy cane, it was a bit much, and then Bob with trying to report it to the police officer, I'm like, just let the guy eat his Dutch
Dutch
baby
baby.
in peace. Let him eat his Dutch baby in peace. He's fine. I didn't quite understand them telling Gene to go pee outside when they were literally stopped in front of a diner.
Yeah.
Like
It
it took him about to pee in the car to say, "Okay, I'll take you to the diner." Like it's right there.
I don't have an explanation for why they do the things they do.
Yeah, I don't know. But this one and then my again, this one just kind of felt a little predictable. I think just because it was kind of the way
Oh,
that
yeah.
it was. Don't go down the unpaved road in backwoods New Jersey. You will get lost or stuck or pop a tire, and that is exactly what happened.
Got stuck.
Got stuck. So
I think snow tires are a little important up there, aren't they?
just a little bit. If you have a car that doesn't have all wheel drive, if I do have snow tires. I don't always have them on at the appropriate times. But also with snow these days, also I'm not driving to work. Like when I was
Yeah.
commuting all the time, it was important to have them because I had gotten stuck down by my office, or gotten stuck on the way home. So it was important when I was commuting. I'm not commuting anymore, so it's more of like there's very few times when I will be stuck out in the snow when I don't have to be.
Yeah, it's not a problem we have here.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No, but also I would never. If there was any amount of snow on the ground and I didn't have to go down like an unpaved road, if I didn't have my snow tires on, no, doesn't matter. I will park here and walk. It's fine. I'm not getting stuck.
Yeah, it's very different here. There's a lot of unpaved roads where I'm from. I grew up on a dirt road. Like,
Hmm.
that's just our reality.
Yeah,
I loved just the lines dehydrated and covered in tinsel. Sounds like a gay pride parade. And I was like,
I wrote
yup,
that down too.
very accurate.
Yep.
especially when you're having your gay pride parade in June in almost 100-degree weather down here. There's so much sweat.
I mean, that's the same up here too. It's New York City is not a cool place, like, cool
No.
temperature-wise, because
How humid does it get?
it gets pretty humid. Because especially with New York City, I think people don't realize, because the buildings are so tall and so close together, it traps in the heat.
Oh, okay.
So, like, that's why, like, New York City, like, really does have a reputation, like, at least Manhattan has a reputation for being, like, swelteringly hot in the summer, because there's only so much space for all the heat to ventilate throughout the city.
Gotcha.
So it gets very, very hot
It's
very,
just
very quickly.
it's really hot here, but for us it's very, very wet. Our air
Mhm.
is very wet. I think
Yeah.
I saw someone say that we have swamp air,
Mhm.
which is accurate. You can like it you can feel the air
Mhm.
all the time. And then I did love when Linda just yells out pretty much, "You all come from my vagina." And I'm like, "Why have I said this to my own children?" I mean, it's you don't even have to have a sex talk to explain that
No.
you come from my vagina. But I say that, but like technically they didn't. I
Mhm.
had C-section babies, so I make that joke, and then I'm like, well, that's
Yeah.
where most babies come from, but my
That
children were surgically removed.
There you go. So your children can someday maybe be prophesized to take over Macbeth.
Oh, that all right.
There you go.
There you go. All right, I'll take that. Have you had a Dutch baby?
I don't think I have, actually.
They're actually really, really easy to make and quite yummy.
Good. Good to know.
They'll dust in a powdered sugar on top.
Mhm.
I do recommend.
Sounds good.
It's like a high-rise pancake.
Okay.
So, it's like a pancake, but it just kind of blows up a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, any other fun notes?
Not really. I kind of ran through them with this. What is the deal with this guy, with this truck
Yeah,
driver? That was a lot of the episode. And, like, I again, I didn't even mind Teddy that much, because, quite frankly, he was the least annoying part of this. He was just kind of there, and, again, very predictable. Of
being
obviously
Teddy,
he's going to get stuck in the Santa trap. So
him not knowing to just turn off the oven though, it was just like, "Teddy, it's one step."
yeah.
And gotta end on the line too, "I'm about to bang your ass."
Yep.
Which with I just did my rewatch for Has-Been too,
Mhm.
because at this time of recording, we're hopefully going to be also recording our special for Has-Been Hotel, and it
Yeah.
just makes me think of the end with Lucifer being like, "I'm about
Yeah.
to fuck
Fuck
you,"
you.
and Charlie's like, "It's fuck you up, Dad."
And his response is, "Wait, what I say?"
Exactly. So it's these episodes are pretty good, I
Yeah.
think.
This one was it was okay. There's not I think this is going to be a short episode, unfortunately. There's not a whole lot to talk about with this one, because
There's yeah.
it's this episode kind of is what it is, unfortunately.
It is. I enjoy what we get from the characters. At the end of the day, though, with even with these like somewhat kind of more boring episodes, ones that we're not like, oh my god, I'm obsessed. Like Turkey in a
Mhm.
Can, phenomenal. So
Yeah,
much to
exactly.
say. Christmas in the car. It's all it is. It's Christmas in the car.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Mhm.
But the lines we get out of it are just some of my favorite. Like the gay pride one,
Yeah.
just the end of hearing the guy who played Pain say he's gonna bang your ass is
Yeah.
just top tier humor for
Mhm.
me.
His something about his voice. He could say
Really.
anything.
He could say anything, it's gonna be funny.
Yeah.
What did you rate this?
So I gave it a 7 for plot, a 7 for personal, and a 6 for character, so it gets a 20. So it's not the lowest scoring episode that I've given so far. I do believe I think I've given a few things like below a 20, or one, or at least a
Mhm.
few things below a 20. Cuz it was fine, but not in the same fine that I give things that are sevens across the board. Cuz that those
Okay.
are just like, that is an episode. This one's just like, okay. Like, it's dipping into the, I would go as far to say that I did not enjoy the episode territory. It's like just kind of like skirting that line.
Yeah. I
So,
mean, it's not bad, but it's just after seeing some of these really great episodes, you don't expect it. Like, you don't expect an
mhm.
episode to be like this
Yeah,
always because you've
exactly.
had so many. You're like, "Oh my god, this was great. I absolutely
Mhm.
love this." And then you have this, and it's like, "Oh, they could have done better." Like,
Exactly. Like, when shows like this, like, I mean, like, with so many episodes, they're not all going to be winners, right? So, but, like, it's just the thing of, like, when some episodes are so good and so high, you're like, "Oh, that's kind of upsetting. That's, like, disappointing."
yeah. I gave this 8s across the board, so it's a
Okay.
24, which is not terrible. Um, I like season 4 still, though. There's still something
Mhm.
about I think it's because we kinda get into a pattern with Bob's Burgers
Mhm.
because season 3, yeah, we had some of our holiday episodes, but this is, like, the beginning of, like, "Okay, we're gonna keep doing this."
Yeah.
The next 2 are probably also not gonna be as much as your favorite, but I think they're still pretty good.
Okay.
I'm mostly excited for when it comes to season 4, a few episodes like The Equestronauts and Ambergris, some of my
Mhm.
favorites, but you're finally at the end of season 4 gonna get your first two-parter.
Gotcha.
So, there are really, really great parts of season 4, but just as like with your show, there's still some episodes that were like, "Eh, it's an
Mhm.
episode." So
Yeah. It happens, but again, with so many episodes, they're not all gonna be winners, and that's okay.
and that's okay. I just hope to have more winners than losers when it comes
Yeah.
to the show. Because if we reach a
Mhm.
point that you're just like not enjoying yourself, I don't want to
Yeah.
force my friend to continue to do something that
Yeah.
they don't enjoy. And
Exactly.
honestly, with the way we do the podcast, if that happens, there are millions of other shows that we can
Mhm.
watch,
That we can.
which is perfectly fine. That's
Mhm.
another thing to take into consideration. Like I'm enjoying Once Upon a Time. I don't think I'm going to stop
I'm glad.
enjoying it.
Mhm.
I mean, not after getting Belle and Ruby. Like, how can I?
No, this is true.
You kind of hard
Every
to.
show has its I would say every show has its jump the shark moment where it goes from consistently good to less than consistently good is the way to go.
Yes.
I would and also for shows like at least for self-contained shows like once that it has an ending, everyone's jump the shark moment is going to be different.
Hmm.
Mine is a lot later than a lot of people's, which is weird considering it's only in season
Well, it's
3.
like makes me think of Scrubs when they came back for that extra season of Scrubs. A lot of people didn't return because, like, we got our finale. Why are we coming back to it?
Yeah.
And I can tell you definitely, I won't say it because a lot of people have probably, don't know it, but there's like a specific scene in The Walking Dead. I jumped then,
Mhm.
and I've
Yeah.
learned that a lot of people jumped after that.
Mhm.
Not even just that episode, that scene,
Mhm.
just that
That's
scene
fair.
alone. And I was like, yeah, no, I see it.
Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Once Upon a Time, episode 208, Into the Deep. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. And follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok. And if you'd like to join our new book club, you can find the link with more details in our show notes.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Katie and Lauren and edited by Katie.